All right, let's jump right in. We are staring down the barrel of a week with some serious, and I mean serious, volatility. You've got a potential government shutdown, huge earnings reports, major geopolitical moves. They're all hitting at the same time. The market is truly on a knife's edge. But you know what? That kind of chaos, that's also where you find some incredible opportunities.
So what's got everybody so on edge? It all comes down to this number, 78%. Right now, that's the probability of a U.S. government shutdown happening this Saturday. There's this super heated battle in the Senate over funding for the Department of Homeland Security, and it's basically reached a boiling point. And that level of uncertainty? It's sending shockwaves across the entire market.
With all this risk on the table, it's so easy to just focus on the downside, right? But the real question, the one we're here to unpack, is this. In a market that's being pulled in a dozen different directions at once, where are the real opportunities hiding? That's exactly what we're going to break down.
Okay, first things first. Let's tackle the elephant in the room, this potential shutdown. To really get a handle on what might happen, we need to look at the whole picture, not just the fear that's in the headlines, but also what history can tell us about situations just like this one.
And get this, it's not just the shutdown. This week is a legitimate perfect storm of market-moving events. You've got that funding battle that could close the government. You've got a U.S. naval armada that just showed up in the Middle East, which is ratcheting up geopolitical tensions. The Federal Reserve is about to drop its next interest rate decision. Oh, and on top of all that, we've got massive earnings from giants like Apple, Microsoft, Tesla, and Meta. I mean, it is an incredibly high-stakes environment.
Now here's where the story gets really interesting. While all the headlines are screaming fear, the historical data, well, it tells a very different story. Check this out. During past shutdowns, when there was a Republican in office, the market actually ended the day in the green almost 65% of the time. So you've got this real tug-of-war between what everyone's feeling right now and what's actually happened before.
And this just perfectly captures that conflict, doesn't it? Even with all these massive, scary risks looming, the S&P 500 is literally knocking on the door of a brand new all-time high. It's a powerful reminder that the market is often playing a completely different game than the news headlines would have you believe. How close we are to that peak is a huge factor to keep an eye on. Okay, so let's shift gears a bit and see how this all connects. This environment of uncertainty is fueling some absolutely wild moves, and there is no better example than what's going on right now in the commodities market, specifically with silver. We're not talking about a small pop here. This is historic stuff. Silver recently rocketed up 14.5% in a single day. That's its biggest one-day jump in nearly 40 years. This is the kind of explosive move that only happens when major market forces are clashing, and investors are just piling into what they see as safe haven assets. But check this out, because this is where it gets really fascinating. The pattern of this surge is what's so crazy. When you lay the current price chart over the famous parabolic rally from 1980, the similarity is it's uncanny. The pace, the curve, it's like a carbon copy. Now, if this pattern holds, it could be a sign that we're getting close to a potential peak. Okay, but we gotta pump the brakes for a second. This is so important and we have to be disciplined here. As tempting as it is to look at a chart like that and think it's a sure thing, past performance is never a guarantee of future results, especially in an environment as unique and frankly as weird as the one we're in right now. These charts are a guide, not a crystal ball. And hey, real quick, if you're finding this breakdown valuable, do me a quick favor and hit that like button. And make sure you're subscribed to the Stock Market Mojo YouTube channel. It honestly helps us keep bringing you these deep dives. All right, so we've looked at the macro picture. We've seen a wild commodity move. Now let's zoom in and get specific. We're going to look at 3 individual stocks that have some really interesting setups right now, each offering a different way to potentially play this volatility. First up, we've got Zoom, ticker ZM. The bullish idea here is a recently revealed investment in the AI company Anthropic. That's a kind of hidden catalyst the market might be sleeping on. What we're watching for is a continuation breakout above its recent highs. Next on the list, a bear setup on ASTS Space Mobile. After a huge run, the chart is forming a classic double-top pattern. A break below that critical $100 support level could really be the trigger for a pullback. And finally, for a classic range breakout play, we're watching Smith & Wesson, SWBI. If it can push past that $11.55 resistance, that could be the start of a whole new leg up. So 3 very different setups for a very volatile week. For our last piece of the puzzle here, we're going to zoom in on one single massive trade. Sometimes the best way to really understand what's going on is to just follow the big money. And right now, there is a huge bet being placed in the natural gas sector.
$4 million. That's the size of the bet. One single trader, or maybe an institution, is risking $4 million on a bullish move in one specific natural gas company. A trade of this size, that isn't just a guess. That signals some serious confidence.
So let's break this thing down. The company is Antero Resources, ticker AR. The trade is a bullish option strategy known as a call debit spread. The catalyst? It's crystal clear. A major cold blast is hitting, driving up natural gas prices because demand goes up and supply goes down. And the technicals back it up. The stock is holding a super important support level between $30 and $32. And the potential payout? Get this. The trader is risking that $4 million to potentially make almost $24 million. It's just a textbook example of a real-world catalyst meeting a strong technical setup.
Whew, okay. We have covered a lot of ground. From macro risks to individual stock setups, let's pull it all together for the final takeaway on what this all means for the week ahead.
So, when you boil it all down, the market is basically a battlefield right now. In one corner, you've got all the macro fear, the shutdown, geopolitics, the Fed. But in the other corner, you have these micro opportunities. You've got historical data that shrugs off shutdowns, these explosive moves in commodities, and huge convicted bets being placed by big money. The entire market's direction this week, it really just depends on which of these forces wins the tug of war.
And that really leaves us with the billion-dollar question, doesn't it? As all these forces collide, will the big, headline-driven fear win out? Or will the specific, catalyst-driven opportunities push the market higher? Is this a week where you hide from the storm, or do you look for those lightning strikes of opportunity? The answer is going to define everything.
It's going to be a fascinating week, and you are not going to want to miss our next update as this story unfolds. Make sure you are subscribed to the Stock Market Mojo YouTube channel so you can stay ahead of the moves. We'll see you next time.